Hey folks, it's Putt, or Carrie, or whatever you want to call me. Lately I've had some folks asking me about what gear I bring with me when I go bikepacking, so I figured today I would shoot that video. So first up is my tent. So on the last bikepacking trip I took, it was the Hurricane, or Huracan. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it, but I call it Hurricane. Anyways, the Hurricane 300. I used the Hexamid Solo tent. It's like the super old version. I got this back in 2014. It's the old one that just has the beak. It doesn't have the dual beak or anything like that, it's just the little beak. And this thing weighs about 16 ounces, so super light, super compact. I've recently switched to the Tarp Tent Pro Trail, which I've yet to take bikepacking with me, but this one is kind of like a happy medium between the Eon Li and that Hexamid. So it gives me the extra space, which is why I had originally bought the Eon Li and had been using that because I loved having the space. So this gives me a lot of space like the Eon did, but it does not have struts, so it packs up super small like the Hexamid did. So I'm super stoked to start using this on my bikepacking trips and my backpacking trips. So with each of those tents, normally it does require a trekking pole to set up, which when I'm backpacking, that's what I do. I use a trekking pole to set up. But when I'm bikepacking, I'm not bringing around this big clunky trekking pole attached to my bike. So I do use, so with the Hexamid, I just had to use one pole. So I had this 38-inch pole that I had got from Tarp Tent. With the Pro Trail, it is going to require this and this shorter, I think it's a 24-inch pole. So I will be using both of those with my tent setup for bikepacking. Now for backpacking, I just use the trekking pole that I'm already carrying with me. So that is going to be awesome. Moving on to my sleep system, I use the Enigma from Enlightened Equipment. This one's a 20-degree quilt. So super versatile. It can take me down to pretty chilly temperatures. For me, probably down to about 35 or so because I'm a cold sleeper. But super ultralight. This one does have the neck baffle area. So it is 19 ounces or so, maybe 19.2 or something like that. But not bad for a 20-degree quilt. So that's going to be what I use for backpacking this summer, as well as all of my bikepacking trips. For my sleeping pad, I brought the same thing I always bring in my backpacking trips as well, and that is the Thermarest NeoAir X-Lite, the women's version. It's super light, it weighs 12 ounces, has a fairly high R value. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I will put it in the video when I'm done with this. So anyways, I brought the Thermarest NeoAir X-Lite women's version. For my pillow, I brought the Nemo Philo Elite Ultralight backpacking pillow. Woo-wee! That is a mouthful. Anyways, the Ultralight Nemo Philo backpacking pillow. That is what I bring bikepacking with me, as well as what I bring backpacking with me. Moving on to the tools that I used. So I tried to be pretty minimal with tools, but still carry everything that I might need. So here we go. I carried the Silka T-ratchet system. It's a pretty neat system. It's got this little ratchet thing here and a bunch of bits. See if I can get that to show up. So that was kind of like my main tool for making little adjustments. I also brought the Alien 2. I've had this for quite a while. I've had it since I think 2011. The thing that I really like on this is the chain brake. So I basically brought this just for the chain brake, but it also has a bunch of other tools that I might need. I brought 2 spare tubes, which might seem like a little overkill, but I guess I'd rather be safe than sorry. I didn't want to, you know, maybe have more than 2 flats happen and then kind of be screwed. I also did bring a patch kit with me, which comes in super handy if you have a flat, but generally if I get a flat, I like to just go ahead and replace the tube, and then maybe when I get into camp for the night, I will check out that tube that got a flat and see if I can find the hole, and then I will patch it up. But sometimes it's hard to find where the hole on the tube is, so I don't like to rely solely on these. So that's why I brought the 2 spare tubes. To go along with the whole, you know, changing the tube out if I got a flat tire, I brought 3 tire levers, just random ones. I have a Pedro's, a Live, and a Crank Brothers. Random tire levers. But yeah, I like to have 3 because I have broken them in the past while changing out a tube, and I do like to use 2, so for me it's good to have 3 in case I happen to break one. I brought this Topeak mountain bike portable pump. It's a little on the bigger side, but it is a pretty powerful pump. It doesn't take forever to pump your tube up, your tire up, and it also has this really nice cord here for attaching to your tube. I don't like the bike pumps that don't have these because they can be a pain in the butt out in the fields. I like to have this cord here to help me get my tire pumped up in a pinch, pun intended. I brought a spare derailleur hanger just in case I had a problem on the trail. If I, you know, hit a rock or something, especially going through some of the Santos trails, I wanted to have a spare derailleur hanger in case I bent the one on my bike. I could easily swap it out with this spare one. I pack a Wolf Tooth Components Master Link tool. It's a really nice tool. It makes it super easy if you break a chain and you need to put one of those quick links in. This makes it super easy to take that quick link apart or even to get it back in place, and it holds 2 quick links, so that is really handy as well. I didn't have to use this on trail. I have used this while replacing a chain on a different bike, and yeah, this thing comes in super handy, way easier than trying to just use your hands to fiddle with that quick link. I brought a spare cleat for my mountain bike shoe along with the bolts that go with that, just in case, you know, I have a problem with my mountain bike shoe. It'd be pretty screwed if I didn't have a spare cleat. If, say, I was mountain biking once with a friend, just a day ride, and the cleat fell off of his shoe and he couldn't find it, and that pretty much meant he couldn't ride anymore. So yeah, spare cleat, spare bolts for the cleat, always a good thing to have when you're bike packing. I always pack zip ties with me when I'm bike packing because you know, you never know when you're gonna need a zip tie. You can use them for all kinds of things. So, and they're light, they don't take up any space, so zip ties. I did bring a roll of electrical tape. Electrical tape comes in super handy. I did end up using electrical tape to create my DIY fork-mounted water bottle cages, so I just brought this in case, I don't know, something went wrong with those cages and I needed to add some extra support. So yeah, that's mainly why I brought the electrical tape. Also, if I noticed during the ride that something was rubbing weird on the frame, like cables or anything like that, or even my bike packing bags, if they were rubbing the frame weird, I could throw on some electrical tape on the frame to prevent it from, you know, making any weird damage to the frame. And the last part of the kind of toolkit section, or toolkit area of my bike packing gear, is the chain lube. Now I used, not this bottle because this bottle is too big, but I just used the White Lightning Clean Ride. I had the little 4-ounce bottle with me, and basically when I got into camp every night, I would just lube the chain and let it dry all night, and it worked out really good. Now for different conditions, you're going to want to use a different chain lube. Here in Florida, the trails are extremely sandy, so this lube worked well for me. Now when I go out to the Pacific Northwest this summer, I will probably switch up the chain lube to something else. As far as warm clothing goes, I packed my favorite long underwear, which is this Icebreaker. It's a 200. I think it's the everyday. It's got a hoodie. I bought this back in 2016 and they don't sell it anymore, so I'm hoping this thing lasts forever. But yeah, Icebreaker, Merino wool, I love this thing. For the pants, for long underwear to keep me warm, I also have an Icebreaker 200, and yeah, Merino wool. I don't know what else to say. I love this piece of gear. If it's a longer bike packing trip like my last trip, I will have 2 pairs of socks with me. 1 pair that I'm wearing, and 1 pair for kind of a backup and that I like to kind of switch out every other day. So 2 pairs of socks, one of them is merino wool, the other is just Swiftwick cycling socks, nothing special. I bring this homemade vest. It is made out of Primaloft that my amazing twin made for me. It weighs about 4 ounces and it's pretty warm, so I bring this on all my bike packing trips as well as my backpacking trips. If it's going to be a little chilly for my bike packing trips, I will also bring this Patagonia Micro Puff. It's got the hood, which is awesome for sleeping at night because, as you saw, I bring the quilt, so it's really nice to have this hood if it's going to be chilly at night. As far as rain gear goes, I bring this Arc'teryx. I don't know the model or anything like that, but it is super bomber proof. It keeps me dry. Of course, if it's gonna be warm out and raining, I probably won't wear the rain jacket because I'll just sweat anyways and get wet, so I basically only wear the rain jacket if it's gonna be cold and raining, or if it's just cold and not raining and I need an extra layer, I'll throw this rain jacket on. For rain pants, for bike packing, I have to have a different pair of rain pants than I do for regular backpacking because I don't really want a pair of rain pants that go all the way down to my shoes because I don't want it getting all greasy and yucky or caught on anything while I'm biking. So I have this VOD biking rain pants. It basically goes about halfway down to my calf and just kind of keeps me a little extra dry if it's going to be cold and raining. I also bring a merino wool buff. I'll bring this for cold weather and for warmer weather because it's super breathable, but also when it's cold it helps keep me a little extra warm. So yeah, this is my favorite buff. I just bought this last fall and it has been working out great for me. For bike packing as well as backpacking, I bring my Ultralight Cook Kit. It's just a really small cook pot, titanium from, I believe it's Sea to Summit. I can't really remember, but anyways, you can look them up online, titanium cook pot. There's a million different models, but I keep everything in here for my cook kit. I've got my windscreen in here, and I've got my little homemade cat can stove, which is what I use if I'm gonna be cooking. It's a little alcohol stove, super ultra light, and just super simple. And I've got my lighter in there as well. So all that gets stored in here and then packed away in my bike packing bags. I carry the fuel, denatured alcohol, or the heat from the yellow bottle. I carry it in this 8-ounce bottle. It has a flippy cap here, so it's super easy to get the fuel into the cat can stove without spilling it all over the place and, you know, causing a fire hazard. I bring a Sawyer Squeeze water filter. I used to use the Squeeze Mini. I used that for a really long time, but I switched it out this winter for the regular Squeeze, and this thing, the flow rate is way better than the Mini. The Mini is okay, and it works, but yeah, I'm really enjoying this regular Sawyer Squeeze. Now, I do, just for now, use the pouches for the Squeeze. You know, screw this on the pouch, or fill this with water, put this Squeeze on the pouch, and then squeeze it into my water bottle. Sometimes it's hard to get the water into here, so I just have this system where I cut one of those little squeeze pouches, and I use this as a dipper, kind of like a little scooping cup to get into the squeeze pouch. So I love this thing because, yeah, you could just like use a cup or bring an extra cup or something for the dirty water, but this thing works really well, and as you can see, it kind of folds down into nothing. So for water bottles for bike packing, I bring 2 of these, which attach to the down tube of my bike. It's 26 ounces of water, so 2 of these. And then I bring 2 like smart water bottle type bottles, and these go on the fork mount, so I can carry 2 liters on the forks. And I just put this electrical tape around it because I was finding that the water bottle holder was scuffing up the bottle, and I wanted to make sure that the bottles were gonna last. So I just wrapped a bunch of electrical tape around that. So 2 of these and 2 of these. I also bring a smaller bottle that's about 24 ounces. In that bottle, I generally don't have water in it. I usually just use it to make my shakes, my protein shakes, and so I'll fill that with water when I want to have my protein / coffee shake, and that I'll usually just kind of store that in a backpack or something. As far as electronics type stuff, I brought the Garmin InReach Mini, which if you watched any of my past videos, you know I love this thing. I brought my Petzl Actic Core headlamp. I brought a Anchor 20,000 milliamp battery brick. And this thing was great. It seemed to last forever. I did not use this whole thing for the 6-day trip of bike packing. So I think this is going to be good for any of my longer bike packing trips as well as for backpacking. So I use this to charge my GoPro camera, my Wahoo element at the end of each day. If I happen to need to charge my Garmin InReach, I can charge it with this. So this thing comes in really handy. Oh, also my cell phone. And of course I brought some charging cables to go with that extra external battery charger thingamajiggy. So yeah, got the cables too. I bring some Dyneema tape with me just in case my tarp tent or my tent or whatever gets a tear in it. I can just cut off a piece of this Dyneema tape and repair it. I also brought a couple needles and some thread in case I had to repair anything else in my kit. I pack Band-Aids, not a whole bunch of them, but I don't know, 4 or 5 Band-Aids, enough to get me through to, you know, whatever the next town is going to be where I can pick up some more Band-Aids if I really needed to. So for bike packing, especially if it's going to be a really sunny trip like here in Florida, I will bring some sunscreen, and the one I brought this time is a Neutrogena Sport Base. Not really sure what Sport Base looks like, but anyways, I brought it. It's SPF 70. This worked out really well for me on my last bike packing trip. I managed to not get burnt to a crisp, even though it was pretty sunny. For bike packing, I really love this Wahoo Element Bolt. This is new to me. I brought it on my last bike packing trip. I'll probably do a video on it at some point. But yeah, this is amazing for navigation. Basically, I imported the route onto here ahead of time, and I just had to follow the track the whole trip while bike packing. It beeps at me when I have a turn coming up. If I'm going the wrong way or I've made a wrong turn, it'll beep at me. So it is super handy. It allows me to not have to like keep taking my phone out and looking at the GPS while I'm riding. So yeah, this thing is awesome. I have a trowel for, you know, taking care of business. And I also bring a little bottle of hand sanitizer, good for sanitizing your hands, or if you happen to get like a blister or something and you want to sanitize it after it has popped, or maybe you've pricked it open just to prevent it from getting worse. It's nice to have this to put on it. I also bring a little tube of toothpaste and a toothbrush, but I figured I didn't need to bring that out here for you guys to see, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter to you guys what toothbrush I use or what toothpaste I use. As far as camera gear while bike packing, I bring the Canon M50, which I am shooting on right now, so I can't show y'all. But I use that for, you know, nice scenery shots and shots in camp and stuff like that. I bring 2 spare batteries for that, so just to make sure I don't run out of batteries. I also bring some extra SD cards. And for bike packing, although I do use this camera and I like to use it for the scenery shots, for a lot of the, you know, quick action shots and just quick little speaking and vlog type shots, I will use a Gopro Hero8. So I'll bring extra batteries for that because the GoPro batteries do not last long. So I bring 2 of those, and that's really easy to charge in camp each night. I do use an ND filter on my Canon M50, so I pack that as well. I also, for my Canon M50, I also bring an Oben tripod. It's a small tabletop tripod. I did bring that while bike packing, and I also bring it backpacking. Well, that was a lot of stuff. I feel like I carry too much stuff now, but it's kind of, you know, all the things I really need while I'm bike packing. So yeah, maybe you get some tips on maybe what I don't need to bring, or maybe if I missed something, let me know. Leave them in the comments. I like to hear other people's tips and tricks as well, so leave those down below. Well, anyways, now that I've given you everything that I bring bike packing with me, maybe it'll help you guys out on your bike packing trips if you're just getting started. If you'd like to see what bike packing bags and backpack and stuff I used while bike packing, I will put a link up here somewhere to that video where I explained my bike packing setup as far as bags and water bottle holders and all that kinds of stuff. So I'll link that up here for you guys to go and watch that video. Well, that is it for this video. If you guys got any value out of this, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. There's some really cool adventures coming up this spring and this fall. So stay tuned for those. And as always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see y'all in the next video.